This is The Launch, episode Lucky 13 for March 11th, 2025. Well, streaming from the beautiful Pacific Northwest and the mighty American West Coast, we greet you all. A good morning, a good evening, whenever your timeline may fall. Time-appropriate greetings indeed to one and all. This is The Launch. My name is Chris.
And I'm Angela.
We got a Brent here, too.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Brent Lee. So much to get into today, but we have a few things everyone needs to know before we get airborne. This show is live, and we'd love to have you here live. It's a whole other experience with a mumble room, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I like that. And 7:30 p.m. UTC at jblive.tv or in your Podcasting 2.0 app of choice. We'll be live right in there. Then this here show releases for download on a Wednesday morning. You can come on in here and chat with us in that there mumble room before and after the show and listen during the show. Ask your questions, suggest topics. Direct line for our members as well. And we always have the Launch chat room going. The Launch HQ, which is linked at the top of our website, weeklylaunch.rocks, as well as our back catalog and links to other things. It's a website with links, weeklylaunch.rocks. It's a weird URL. And you're probably a weird user of it, weeklylaunch.rocks. Andrews, it's been another week.
Yeah.
And one of the things we set out to talk about on this show is a very, very important topic. One of your guilty food pleasures.
Yes.
And this is a story that goes back to the 1990s. McDonald's first introduced this innovation in 1999.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
I did not realize that.
That's crazy.
When I worked there was the first time.
It was.
Okay.
It was. The rest of the world was worried about Y2K bugs, and McDonald's was focused on the future.
Introducing a whole new idea in breakfast. New breakfast bagel sandwiches. Only McDonald's brings you our tender, juicy steak, egg, and cheese bagel, our zesty Spanish omelet bagel with sausage, and the classic taste of our ham, egg, and cheese bagel. 3 big breakfast sandwiches, all on a toasted bagel baked fresh daily at McDonald's. It's a new day and a new breakfast. Come on in.
Did somebody say McDonald's?
3 challengers, 1 remains strong. What do you think, Brent? You got any initial reactions there?
I take strong offense to their suggesting that it was their revolutionary idea to put, the bagel and the sandwich together as a breakfast item.
But had anybody ever done steak, egg, cheese with a special zesty sauce?
Depends how you describe it, but I think we got pretty strong bagel culture in Montreal, so I'll just leave it there.
Okay. All right. So the thing is, this innovation, which had a steak patty, a folded egg, grilled onions, melty cheese, and a signature breakfast sauce on a toasted bagel, it wasn't always to be, was it?
This is not a paid ad.
But you discovered this love while you worked at McDonald's.
Yes. Yeah. Well, while I worked at McDonald's, that we can almost literally see from the studio here, you always got a free meal. And I would load up this steak bagel with so much soy butter and sauce and onions, and it was so good. And then it just disappeared forever. And then I don't even know when, but sometime in the last year it came back.
Oh, I looked it up. It's quite the story. It's very So McDonald's began phasing out your beloved bagel steak sandwich in various regions. We don't really know the exact timeline, but based on reports, the steak bagel may have been removed from some menus as early as 2020. It was largely unavailable by then. And they said maybe it was supply chain challenges, limited use of steak and other menu items. It wasn't very cost effective. But a campaign, this is real, was launched by the fans of the steak bagel, including a Change.org petition that gained 25,000 signatures. And they launched social media groups to campaign McDonald's. And it worked. The fans of the sandwich successfully brought back the steak bagel in late 2022 in certain regions. And by February of 2025, the steak, egg, and cheese bagel was officially available nationwide due to overwhelming demand.
It is so good.
This is like a multi-decade campaign to get this thing back. That's impressive.
It's got fans. It's got a half-pound steak, thinly sliced or shaved, 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, Montreal steak seasoning, garlic powder and pepper, 1 white onion thinly sliced, 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 eggs, 4 slices, holy crap, of American cheese, a half cup of mayo, tablespoon of yellow mustard,
Half a cup?
a half teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, fresh dill, salt and pepper to taste.
So there's only 2 pieces of cheese on each bagel.
Yeah, I think
and
this
it's not
is for-
4 bagels. So
Yeah, it's
I
for
don't know.
2. I think this is a double.
Yeah,
This
it's
must
a
be a
double.
double
yeah,
recipe.
but mayonnaise, gross. That's what I saw.
Well, that's what they make the special sauce out
I
of.
know. I told myself that it wasn't mayonnaise. That's
You're-
how I'm
you were
able
more
to eat it.
comfortable- You were comfortable with it being like a soy sauce, but not a mayo sauce.
Yeah, no.
I have questions.
I bet you do.
Well, so it's called the bagel sandwich, but it sounds like it's much more than just a bagel because
yeah.
they don't offer the same thing on like the English muffin, for instance. So what is it
No.
for you, Ange, that really sells you on this thing?
Oh, I mean, it's a bulk bagel sandwich.
I think it was
it's
the
a-
sauce and the onions, though, right?
The steak too.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I've
yeah.
only had one bad bagel where the steak had like something,
See,
something
there you
gross
go.
in it.
Only one bad one in the whole batch,
Yeah.
Brent.
And by the way, side note, I get round egg, not the folded liquid egg.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's
Yeah.
what the folded egg is liquid. I'd rather have a real egg.
Yeah.
But I'm getting older in age, and eggs don't work well in my body anymore.
Can you do it without the egg?
So I get no,
Oh, okay.
no. It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get to experience the bagel at least twice for each consumption.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I mean, hey, you got to really enjoy it then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brent has some allergies that kind of like would limit him from enjoying something like this. But I'm curious if you ever just throw caution to the wind, or maybe it's a totally dietary compatible guilty pleasure that you might have. Do you have a big, like, for me, they don't make it anymore, but my fast food guilty pleasure was the Jack in the Box bacon burger. Remember the one that had the bacon bits and the bacon strips?
Oh, my goodness.
Loved that thing. Not there anymore. And then now, so my guilty fast food, and this is kind of bad, I admit it. It's the really horrible tacos at Jack in the Box.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you don't say the tacos, the stupid tacos, they are so bad.
It's bad.
Sometimes I get the curly fries and they taste like tacos, or a hash brown, it tastes like the tacos, and it's so gross. I don't know how.
I know.
I don't know how.
Sometimes I do extra cheese too.
Yeah. Side note, Chris and I historically have always managed to have fast food on holidays. Like
just running between
specifically-
families.
Yeah.
Kids and divorced families.
And Thanksgiving, like even though we're eating meals, we still manage to do it. So it's just really funny.
So that's been a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't do it as often anymore, but I'm curious if you have one, Brent.
I certainly have more than one. I think you picked up on one on this past trip to Scale. Fries.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fries get me. I mean, you need mayonnaise with fries. Sorry, Ange.
He
But
dips them in mayo.
Okay.
Sometimes he peppers the mayo.
so I've been known to like stop at a fast food place and just order the
Eat the
fries.
fries, yeah.
I mean, I can't eat most of the other
It's
stuff.
like usually we'll go somewhere and it's like, well, if they got fries, we know Brent's going to eat.
Every place has salad, which typically isn't worth having,
I feel
and they
like
always have fries.
We should probably underscore the fry thing. So he will eat fries, and then he will save the uneaten fries, and then he'll incorporate those fries into like some sort of like ad hoc meal that he makes.
Cuisine.
Yeah. And they'll have like just fries, and there'll be like eggs with fries or something.
They're just potato, Chris.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny, Brent. I've never seen anybody treat fries as precious as you do. So that is very true. Okay. Yeah, for adversaries in the chat room says, they're just crunchy potatoes. What's the big deal? They're just crunchy potatoes. They're greasy, crunchy potatoes. What's that?
Why they're so delicious. So what don't you want in here?
All right. Boost in. We want to hear your guilty food pleasure. Doesn't have to be fast food, but you know we want to hear about it. Could be anything. Maybe it's not even a food. Maybe it's like a drink. I guess Red Bull would probably be another one of mine. Sugar-free Red Bull. But let us know. You can use the Fountain app to make it easy, or go grab Breeze, BREEZ mobile, and then you just need to grab a few stats with something like Strike or River, and then boost in your message, support the show, and we'll read it on the show. It'll be a fun one. So what is your guilty pleasure? Tell us all about it.
Your food guilty pleasure.
Yeah, we'll stick to food for now. For now. All right, so while we were in California, we had one day where the conference had begun to wrap up, and we had about a half day of free time. And Hadia and I were brainstorming because the boys were still in bed, and we were brainstorming, what do we want to do today? And we kept coming up with all of like kind of the not bad, but sort of tourist kind of ideas.
Which is what we typically do.
Yeah. And the serious challenge is, it's not just a cliche. Traffic is horrible. And so anywhere you go, you got to add, and I'm not kidding, if it's a 12 mile drive, it's a 35 minute drive to get there. So about 30 minutes to get 12 miles. And so, if you're going to go somewhere it's an hour away, could be 2 hours of driving. It's like, we just don't have time for that. And I wanted to do something that would be really memorable, that would actually genuinely be fun. Because we had worked hard. The conferences started very early. And then the one day where we didn't have to start early, we were very grateful to have a very special breakfast meeting, but that started at 7. So every day was a really early day, and then we're up late. And so we were kind of worn out. I just wanted to do something that would kind of get us going, maybe get us outside. And at first we were trying to come up with something that would just be really torture for producer Jeff.
Really?
Because that would make it fun.
Ideas here?
That would make it fun. Yeah, we could take him somewhere that he just hates to go, But we really couldn't come up with it because he's pretty easygoing. We couldn't really come up with anything that would drive him crazy.
Just California traffic does it.
Yeah,
really.
right. Just being in California. So then we started thinking, well, what else could we do? And then we thought, well, what if we kidnapped Brent and Wes and we didn't tell them where we were going? And Jeff's mom's house is 40 minutes away. It's one of the quickest, maybe it was even less than that, one of the shortest drives of all of our options was Jeff's mom's house. And at Jeff's mom's house was a van that has been parked since about 2019, a camper van. It's a 1990 Dodge Ram 250 with a nice, good-looking frame, good-running engine, but it's been parked for 6 years. So, and in the California sun, getting beat down upon. So it has sort of degraded over time. But we knew it was likely that if we got there and spent an hour with this thing, we could probably get it running again. At the moment, it was not running. But we had a sense if we spent a little bit of time, we at least had a shot. And then if we could get it running, we'd know if it was viable for Brent to potentially take this van off of Jeff's mom's hands, because they've been trying to get rid of this van for a while. And so we hadn't told him. As we show up, we're like, Brent, look at this van. Isn't that interesting? And Brent's like, yep, sure is. Look at that. And then he's like, wait, why are we stopping? When did you realize that we had duped you?
Well, this has been going on for years. And Jeff
yeah.
has sent me, I don't know, a year ago, maybe even more, photos of this very exact van in that spot. It hasn't moved since. And just saying you're talking about this van deal. My mom's got one. I know that's impossibly far from Canada. It probably doesn't make any sense to even consider it. But here you go. Here's a bunch of photos. And so we drove past, and I was like, I at this point still didn't know where we were going. I was just in for the ride like we do every trip where we're going somewhere crazy. And
you're pretty easygoing. So I figured we wouldn't have to really twist your arm too much.
Well, it always works out in the end, it seems. And so we drove past, and you said, oh, look at that van. And we do that constantly. That's nothing new. You're
That's
always
right.
pointing these things out. So it's like, oh, yeah, that's a nice one. And then it's when we turned the vehicle around to go back to the van. I was like, oh, wait a second. And then from that perspective was where the photos were taken of a year ago. And I was like, oh, now I know what's happening. And all these things started coming together, and it's like, Jeff's mom's clothes, Jeff's in the car,
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, this is going to be a day.
Yeah. So we step out, and we start assessing the state of the van. Headlamp check.
Yep, we got
You got to give me a warning.
we got bright Brent.
The right one's out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to blast your crotch with light.
So, Chris, what's this guy?
All right, if we had 3 words to describe the current state of the vehicle, what would they be?
Hopeful dilapidation is 2 words.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly good condition.
Potential project with highlights.
That's 4, isn't it? Getting all dirty. I'm not in the right mind temperature.
My folks just got a new oven. Didn't even come with a paper manual.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't even bother anymore, right?
I feel
Displeased my father immensely.
if I would have told Brent where we were coming, he could have brought himself some gloves.
I usually do.
So it's the one thing they don't have labeled is the very thing we have a question about.
Get out of the way.
That was the downside right there. Is Brent is a guy that likes to dress appropriately for working on mechanical stuff. Rightly so, because it's very dirty work. And so he was in his nice dress clothes, no gloves. And we're crawling around on the ground. Wes says in the live chat, because he was with us, obviously, he says, I figured something was up when Chris started kicking the tires and trying the doors of what I thought was a random stranger's van.
There's a lot of random vans in California. Turns out this wasn't a stranger's.
So we're looking at this thing. Externally, it's rough, right? It's been exposed to the elements for a while. The back tires are so flat that you
the rims
roll.
are on the concrete.
So we wanted to see what kind of shape the motor was in, and I think we were pretty pleasantly surprised. The first thing you checked was the oil, which was clean as if it had just gotten brand new oil. Then you checked the transmission fluid, slightly low, but perfectly clean.
Yes, true.
Like brand new right out of the bottle. Then we took off the doghouse because these engines, they come into the driver and passenger area, and there's like a little mound there, and you take that off and it exposes the top of the engine. And we got a chance to look at the state of the air filter. We dug in, and I think we were pretty surprised.
Oh, dude. Come on.
No squirrels or anything.
That's so clean.
That's unbelievable.
Look how clean it is in there. The carb looks a little needs some little cleanup, but it's actually really clean inside.
Super impressive.
We got doghouse.
Here you go, Brent, or Chris.
Oh my! Are you kidding me? Is that brand new off the shelf?
Yeah. It's super clean in the carb.
Wow.
But it wouldn't start. Everything, the fluids look great. It had gotten service right as they parked it. Like, when does that happen?
Yeah.
If you could get this thing running, you wouldn't need to do an oil change for 3,000 miles. That's just crazy for a 1990 vehicle like this. But we weren't sure why it wouldn't start. We brought out like the big guns. They had like this industrial car battery charger. It was obviously a dead battery. And we started to try to put some juice into that. What we do know is that we have a very dead battery. And we have been pumping about 40 amps into it every time we try to start it. And then even 200 amps on a couple occasions. But I think the battery is just pretty close to totally dead. So Jeff is going to take a drone battery that he happens to have on him because, of course, he does. Even though he didn't know we were going.
Well, it's for my soldering iron.
Of course.
What?
So we're going to try to jump...
in case we went to the beach.
Yeah. We're going to try to jump this 1990, almost 4,000-pound van with a... what is that, like a 10-ounce drone battery?
It's a 1.5 amp-hour drone battery.
With a tiny drone battery. But we don't have jumper cables for this because we didn't plan on this. So what Jeff is going to do is go ahead and take apart a household extension cord and convert that into jumping cables that we can then directly wire to the battery and attempt to start.
This is going to trigger so many people.
Why did we need this to happen for the show to publish again?
We knew that it wouldn't run long, and we knew it had 6-year-old gas in it. But what we were trying to determine is, does the engine turn? Is it seized, or does the engine actually turn? Because if the engine turns, it's worth working on. If the engine doesn't turn, we don't need to go any further. And so what we immediately honed in on is, let's just see, even though it's not going to run, we don't expect it to start. Let's just see if it sounds like it could give it a go. And we just needed a lot of voltage because this thing is a 1990 V8, small block, big engine, really powerful starter.
Hey,
this is what we've been waiting for. Bubble wubble worries.
Go ahead.
Okay, turning on.
Do it. Crank it.
That's way more power.
Crank it.
There we go. It's smoking, but we got it. Okay, kill it, Brent. Kill it.
We're good.
So I think we're looking. It's dead now, Brent. I think we're looking at a voltage issue.
Yeah, it's battery. Battery's dead.
But it turned, no?
Yeah. That's what these
so the
things
starter's
do.
not getting enough power.
So
That's cool. That's
it's
cool.
already warm. Just smell it a little bit.
Dude, it was smoking, yeah.
Well, that's the wire that, yeah. That's all we needed to really find out for sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's good news. So the starter's in perfect condition if we can get enough voltage to it. So we could run to one of the auto stores and pick up a battery. So before we decided to go buy a $180 battery for this van that we don't own, we thought, well, let's try jumping it. Right? We got a car here. We got jumper cables. No. We had like a little 4-cylinder Toyota. It just could not produce enough power.
Whose battery was also leaking acid all over
it wasn't in great shape. The
wow.
rental, it wasn't in great shape. Yeah, I know. So we didn't want to push it too far. So when we realized that wasn't going to cut it, we just decided, let's go get a battery. And we went to O'Reilly's and picked up the cheapest battery we could possibly find, which is $180, and got it wired up. And you could immediately tell things were in better shape because like the dash lights came on properly and things like that. So we felt
there were a bunch of relays clicking, remember, with the low voltage, and those just solved right up.
The relays stopped clicking weird. Yeah, so we knew we were probably in better shape. If it was going to work, this would do it.
What do I need?
We're going to crank it. You ready?
Yeah, crank it. What do you need me for?
I'm just letting you know.
Whew. Good.
Are you ready, Brent? A bit airy in here, Mike. Puff up. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of dirt. If it turns, it's going to blow a lot. The doghouse is open inside, so it's right at Brent's legs, like right at his knees.
We can put it back on.
Are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. Here we go. Sounds good. Yes! Yeah! Yes! Give some gas, Brent. A little gas. Yes! Yeah, keep it going because we're going to start getting the shit gas now. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Breathing.
I did get a little dirty because it blew all over me because like the engine's in the cab, which makes no sense to me. But
yeah, well, that's why it's got a doghouse.
It's just sweet. You could just touch it while you're driving down the road.
Well, yeah, you gotta be able to adjust everything. Yeah.
You want to go? Okay, we're starting to get a little belt squeak, but not bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. Like, I mean, Star Trek, they got an engine room. You just got your engine room in your cab.
Right there. It's easy to get to. Even the belt squeak worked itself out after a couple of minutes. And it was just, after about 5 minutes, it just sat there humming like it had been driving all week. It was amazing. After 6 years. And even with the bad gas.
Right.
It made almost no sense. It's like you went there earlier and just filled it with good gas. Because I expected fully. Well, you and I checked first.
Yeah, we smelled the gas, and it smelled like fuel. It didn't smell like varnish.
Yeah, I expected fully for that fuel to be no good.
Yeah.
And for us to never get it started, because trying to get some new fuel into the engine is a difficult challenge. I mean, we did expertly, I will say, get some fuel from the parts store that we could put directly into the carb, and it was 2-stroke fuel, pre-mixed, so it had a little bit of lubrication and stuff. So that's one way you could kind of get it running for a little bit, but long term, like we had it running 10, 20 minutes after we got it started. And so it was just sucking on that old fuel, and it did perfectly well with it.
I thought the fuel line would be plugged. I thought the pump would be fried. I thought the filters would be, or the injectors would be clogged up. But, you know, I initially didn't realize it was carbureted at first. I thought we were dealing with something that was fuel injected at first. And then once we discovered it was carbon, you could just pour a little bit of that starter fluid right down the mouth. Meant that when we started it for the first time, it was using that really fresh, good fuel. I think that did help. So, you know, then we started looking at the interior, figuring out what works electrically, what doesn't, looking at the frame, which was in great shape, and just kind of really giving it a once-over. So I think the new battery worked well.
It's quite, It led to many great things.
Got the new battery in there, fired right up, actually. Put the dino juice right down the gullet.
It's kind of amazing.
Ate that up, and then it just started running off the old gas like we just filled it up last week.
And it sounded amazing. Purred.
Yep. A few projects, a little bit of work. But how you feeling?
I think we got ourselves, what do we call this thing? An independent?
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it.
And he made an offer, and they accepted.
Yeah, we were there for, I don't know, several hours just kind of playing with this thing. And at first I thought, we're just going to have a good time and get this thing running and then call it good.
Yeah.
But then the more we got into it, it's like, wait a second. This crazy idea Chris came up with like years ago, and he's been pounding on me for years, I gotta say.
Just working them. Yeah.
I think finally all came to a head on this particular trip.
It was true to Jeff's word. The engine was in great shape. You know, I don't even think we said, but like 60,000 miles on the thing total.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And
the generator had how many hours?
The generator had like 6 hours on it. So the generator's brand new. And it's got, you know, propane furnace. It's got an air conditioner that still works.
Like my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the plan? So, Brent, you bought it.
Yeah, he's buying it. Well,
we have
to go down there and exchange money. But there's a
Okay.
handshake. There's a handshake. It's as good as done.
I see the handshake.
So
and
now,
flat tires still.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. It's still got flat tires.
Yes, this is only the beginning of the adventure, I would say. Stage 1. Stage 2, Chris, you have some ideas of stage 2. I think stage 2 is going to be extremely fun.
We kind of made like a parts list. It's like, so obviously new tires. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
Then we got to find out the state of the brakes. We don't know until we can actually get the thing to roll, but the brake pedal pumped. So, it's probably going to be a few $600 maybe ish of tires. So I'm thinking the rough strategy would be we don't want to wait until it's unbelievably hot in California, especially in LI, and because we're going to be working on the ground, right, on the cement, getting the tires on and stuff. So I'm thinking the strat is when Brent comes back for Linux Fest, we get down there. Maybe I'm thinking in the GTI, we load it up with like a spare belt, spare fluids, a couple other parts that we researched that fail frequently on this thing. Then we put that in the back of the GTI. We do a barrel run down to Jeff, and then we get from Jeff's we get to the van. This is like another 8 hours. Then we get the van working hopefully in one day. And then caravan back, and I chase in case anything goes wrong.
Right, I was going to say, don't leave him behind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room in the back for tools.
There is,
supplies.
It's got a bunch of storage. And then, he's got to start the process, and there is a bit of a process to actually, like, bring the van into Canada officially and legally, and he's got to pay some fees and stuff like that. But if we can get it up to Washington, then that's the next step.
Right. Is there are you naming it?
I think it's been named for a couple of years now, right?
It does say independent on the side of it. So, the Road Trek Independent.
I mean, you got to go with Bang Bus.
Yeah. You mean
how could you not go with
that?
It's been like enshrined.
Then ride on the Bang Bus, folks, where the windows are fogged and the stories are wild. We're cruising down roads with tales to be told in the Bang Bus, where the nights never mind.
Yeah, it is the Bang Bus, isn't it? Yeah, it's true. That's got to be the Bang Bus, I think. That's pretty good. I'm really excited because it's a rare opportunity where there's definitely work because there's been some water damage, but Brent knows how to work with wood, and he knows how to do those kinds of repairs. So it's kind of in his wheelhouse. Like if I were to buy it, I would need Brent's help to fix it up. Right. So it'd be like, Brent, come down here and fix this for me. I mean, just that from that part makes a lot of sense. The thing also has potential to be a mobile recording studio. The back door opens up and then there's seats right there. So you could actually open the back door, put a table there, microphones, and have a nice little recording spot. It could be really cool. But it's going to be a project. The nice thing is it's a minimum viable amount of effort to get it roadworthy. And then it's everything you want to do on top of that.
I think it's just the perfect mix for me, actually, because mechanically it seems really quite sound, ignoring the tires. From what I can tell, it's super young in that regard. And okay, the inside has seen a tiny bit of water, so like that poor quality wood product is kind of needs replacing. But I think I would want to replace that anyways.
Yeah, you probably would just to modernize it.
Exactly, and it's usable as is.
Yep.
I have lowish standards, let's say. But the car I currently drive was almost the same situation as this. Someone was like, I'm done with this vehicle. I don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And I was like, you know what? This is a Toyota-based engine on a Pontiac, platform. And I know the engine's super great. And a lot of the parts are Toyota great things. And that thing's been going forever. And I was able to do a bunch of work to make it better.
I think what you're looking at mechanically for this, it's like, probably some hoses are going to be old. Some seals are going to need to be replaced. Some of that will be some work to get to, but the actual work itself is all within your wheelhouse.
Exactly.
That's exciting. It's you can see the work, and it seems work that's addressable. Unless there's something we don't know yet, but that's why we're going to do a chase on the return.
There's always something you don't know, and that'll be part of the adventure.
That's true. It's going to be some fun stories. All right, let's take a break and feature a value for value track. This is Hocus Pocus by Trickster.
Staring in the eye of this murder mystery madness, and we're floating through space like we're the only right, living life in reverse. Oh, these complicated things, and maybe just cause, oh, these complicated ways. been lost, and somewhere in the middle, there's an ocean now above, living life in reverse. Oh, these complicated days, and maybe we just cut. Oh, these complicated ways.
And now, as the French say, it is time for le boost.
It is, and our baller booster this week is Mr. Adversaries 17 with 56,000 sats.
Hey, Rich Lobster!
That might be the show's biggest boost yet. Thank you, Adversaries. For the dumb time machine thought experiment, I would go back to the era of the early steam locomotives, so 1880s to early 1920s. I would love to be on a train crew, armed with my current knowledge of how to run one already. Oh, I probably wouldn't need to learn too much in terms of being an engineer or even a fireman. Really, I'm learning something about you here. Plus, it was the Old West, which was one of my favorite historical eras. Yeehaw, partners. That's pretty good. And a train conductor. Did not expect a train conductor. I want to mention the questions that we ask on the show. You can answer them at any point. If you're listening to the back catalog, you're far behind, anything like that, boost them in because they will go to the current episode and we are happy to read them. He goes on, now, if my family computer counts, and well, that was my first computer that I remember using. We asked, what was your first computer? And it was a Dell Dimension 5000. Now, keep in mind, I'm only 10-ish years older than your oldest. Sorry to make you guys feel old.
Oh.
That's all right. The first computer that was actually mine was a custom-built machine centered around an A10 7890K because I was too poor for a dedicated video card at the time. We all have integrated graphics. It happens. This was during high school, so the money I did get from the job was saved up, and then I later bought a 1050 Ti. Ooh, nice, the Ti. He says, regarding that CTO that got hired in the first story, it sounds like someone had a bunch of Microsoft stock and wanted to pump the value up. Yeah, that's very true. Thank you, Adversaries. Appreciate that support. That was a great boost. JCube3 is here with 19,000 sats.
Well, let's hear it, good buddy.
He says something went wrong, so hopefully this worked. It did. And he says he's loving the launch. Well, thank you, JCube. It's nice to hear from you. Mr. Mayhem's here in our booth with 2,345 sats.
Why you got to put numbers and letters together? Why can't you just go yourself?
I don't know about this whole Microsoft thing, but my wife spends something like 3 hours a night in what they're calling pajama time in that clip. I'd never heard her use that term. So remember we were talking about the Microsoft AI and doctors going home and doing pajama
transcribing.
time? Mm-hmm. Something absolutely has to change. She's a pediatric BCBA and already spends more time writing notes than with the kids. Can't imagine what it's like for a medical doctor. I just feel sick that the direction this is going is towards more data scraping and cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is a good term for it.
Mm-hmm.
Also +1 for the call-ins. Hopefully I can get my membership back going before then. Well, we'll have 2 lines, but yeah. There's always more. If you become a member, then you get the bootleg of this show, and you get a lot more.
Side note on the data scraping. I finally utilized the wellness benefit at my work, which is a $50 reimbursement for self-care, right? I got a massage yesterday.
Ooh.
And it was amazing.
The right decision.
It was. And so I went to do the reimbursement process, and it's Benepass, I think, and then it uses Plaid, and Plaid wanted me to sign into my bank, like give my credentials, and I'm like,
no way,
right? I'm like, this is so gross. Like, so is my employer harvesting my financial? Because I mean,
no,
like,
but Plaid
it would give everything. So,
so you did it?
No,
okay,
I looked up, right? No. I was like, okay, I'm going to eat that $50 then, but no, I was able to just enter my routing number and account number for where the money needs to go.
That's more reasonable,
the trick
right?
there,
isn't it though? Like, how many people are actually providing their credentials?
I have once until I realized.
Oh.
Yeah. And then now, so you probably did what I do now, is like if you do other for the bank, so it asks you to name your bank, and if you name a bank, it makes you do the online login.
Right.
But if you say other, like it's not in your list dummy, then they just let you do the bank routing information.
Yeah, it was just at the bottom. You had to scroll down to actually see it. It looks like the screen is complete, but you can scroll down and you can say, just use account number.
So insidious.
Isn't it gross? I was like, I don't want this access.
Just think about that database they have. Oh.
Ugh.
Thank you, Mayhem. Great boost. Appreciate it. Jazz goes here with 5,000 sats. That's a Jar Jar boost.
You suppose.
Chris, you have never been more wrong. Crows can be the kindest creatures. A few years back, I began feeding them in my neighborhood, and anytime I went out on a walk, I had a few guys following me, keeping me company. And yes to Collins. I was wondering, I feel like maybe crows could be the exception to the rule, but like whatever these little small birds are that are deploying poop warfare on my family, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And then whatever birds are constantly fighting with the eagles and the hawks, they just need to knock it off. The war was settled, spring comes around, and the war starts back up again. I can't tolerate it, Jasco. But,
I have another interesting story.
Okay,
I'm just full of interesting stories. I took Abby on the Centennial Trail.
Yeah.
And we go to the dock, and there's an eagle's nest right there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's an eagle in the tree. And on the way to the dock, I was like, oh, it looks like he is taking a crap, right? But it wasn't. So then we're on the dock.
You'll know. You would not believe.
Right. Well, he was just like hunched in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like it was a weird perch, right?
Yeah.
So we get to the dock where we have a different angle, and it starts making the weirdest sound, not the Freedom Eagle sound, like
it's
just
like, kind of
it was weird.
A cackle.
And then there were 2.
Oh,
so it wasn't one the whole time. It was that weird perch.
They were having a good time.
They were.
You'll know when they're pooping because you won't understand how much one animal can poop until you've seen an eagle poop. Like you'd think like you could kind of guess like an elephant poops a lot. There's probably a lot of poop because an elephant's big. So that makes sense there'd be a lot of poop.
Mm-hmm.
An eagle isn't as big as an elephant, but it poops as much as an elephant. I mean, it's an unbelievable, but I suppose if you're eating an entire animal's whole, there's a lot to poop out.
Why does it have to be that consistency?
Why do we know about the consistency or the amount?
Well,
where are you guys going to get this?
I grew up on a lake for a while, and I watched.
Oh, sure,
I watched the whole circle of life. Let me tell you what. Well, I sure did. We can move on from that. We'll move on from that. Jimmy V, the Value for Value artist, comes in with 2001 sets.
Well, I'll be dipped.
Thanks for playing my track and saying nice things. Waka waka waka. That's a totally West Coast track, recorded in California, Vancouver, BC. And Vancouver, BC. That's awesome. Thank you, Jimmy V, for boosting. I love it when we hear from the artists for the tracks that we feature. Bob the Huts here with 4,000 sats. Thanks for the reminder on the value for value and why it's important. All your shows provide great entertainment and value. The amount doesn't do much justice, but it's a start. Cheers.
Well, thank you.
Nice.
Yes, cheers to you. Watsy, a.k.a. Ryan's here with a Jar Jar boost.
You suppose.
Liking the new show. Keep it up. And Sire's here with 2,000 sats. Pew, pew, pew. No accounts unless it's absolutely needed. I agree on that one. I really hate creating accounts at different places. I encourage everyone to browse their password managers and delete accounts they don't need anymore. I've deleted 40 of them in 2024.
Nice.
What was the question that was being answered?
I think your tech pet peeves.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
that's why I don't love having a bunch of stuff through Google, but I sometimes decide just to sign in through Google just 'cause I don't want another frickin' login out there.
Yeah, you know what happened to me is, subscriptions.
Yeah.
And I don't do them through my Apple ID because it'll charge you.
Right.
And so I add my card, but that means I have to go to the website to cancel. There's no way in app to do that.
Right.
And even in app, if you put your account on hold, guess what? It still charges you. So it told me that I had to cancel in iTunes, and I'm like, how would I even do that?
Yeah.
And so I finally logged in on the desktop and canceled that. But now I just have access for the next 3 months, even though I'm not using it.
You probably save a little money doing the subscription outside of the iTunes store because a lot of times they tack 30% on because of Apple's fees.
Yeah.
Thank you, sire. Good to hear from you, and a good one. Tomato comes in with a Spaceballs boost. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sats.
So the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Enjoying the show so far, and it's nice to hear from Angela again.
Awesome.
Thank you, Tomato. It's nice to hear from you. Faraday Fedora came in below the cutoff, but I wanted to cover it because he's a long-time listener. He says, live mini boost. Sorry, not a whole lot of lightning sats on my node right now. But AI is the tech that I hate. I can see its use once it's more fleshed out, but current products are hot garbage. Also, Angela, it'd be pretty funny if you got your ham radio license before Christmas.
That'd be awesome.
Are you working toward that?
Slowly. I'm about a year behind. It's one thing I want to do, but I got diverted into Meshtastic for a bit, and I had an interesting realization is just about everybody I spoke to when I asked them at Planet Nixon Scale said they're using an LLM daily.
Yeah.
So there's something there.
Yeah, they're not
like a Chat GPT, or they're using like Claude, or Grok. Claude was the big one where we were at. I think a lot of people using Claude, but yeah, every day people are. So that to me seems like there's probably some kind of adoption happening here. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we've hit mass market appeal yet, but something's there.
But I've been super hesitant on jumping into the AI train, and even I think that they're offering something that has never existed before, especially trying to get search results that pull together about 10 sources at the same time and give you a digest of those sources. And I have to say, it's changed my mind on AI completely. It's not doing everything they promised. There's nowhere near that. But it's got a place in my life, certainly, to solve some problems and save me an insane amount of time on research. Because now it's just this library of quick links to really great vetted sources that is way better than the standard Google and search results everywhere.
I agree. The thing that they're doing more and more now with linking to sources that you can quickly check to verify that it's getting it accurate is really helpful. But also it's just helpful in collating those sources because, it's stuff you'd have to go find anyways.
Yeah, that's been my favorite use case of it.
Yeah.
I recently saw... So for those of us that do care about our privacy, but still did 23andMe,
It's a funny twist.
You can download your data as a raw export, and then you can bring it to other things like Genetic Genie, and it'll tell you what I'm forgetting.
Markers and stuff like that.
Different potential problems that you might have or encounter. And somebody took the Genetic Genie data and put it through AI for an idea of how they can assist those different markers.
Right. Okay. So here's my results. Help me come up with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so it was natural remedies.
Talk about personalized healthcare, right? Right. To your particular DNA profile.
But are there enough sources, backing up this recommendation? But you know what it did have in it? First of all, it used emojis to make it very visually appealing. But then it also said, if you experience this, stop. If you, notice this, do this. And, it was surprisingly humanized.
Yeah, that is nice. So these are the things to watch out for too, because sometimes you don't get that stuff. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how medical care, I guess, is just sort of both from how the doctors use it, but also how we as patients use it. I've definitely used it to look up a few things. And, I don't treat it as doctor's advice, but I think it does help me actually understand the language and communicate better. So it's useful in that way. That's a great set of boosts. I think one of our better sets of boosts, everybody. Thank you so much. We could still use a few more of you out there streaming sats as you listen. We had 9 total sat streamers. So our sat streamers brought in 4,333 sats. But Our boosters, they made up the bulk of it this week with 19 unique senders. We stacked 112,324 sats, which pretty good for a brand new baby show. We really appreciate it. There's lots of easy ways to get started. It's fun. Fountain.fm is a great app with more features. Breeze, I mention often. A lot of ways to do it. Details at jupiterbroadcasting.com/boost. And then we'll read them on a future episode. And we do love them. You can answer previous questions as well. We're happy to revisit old topics. Keeps the conversation going. It's just logical. Thank you, everybody.
And now, on with the show.
So check this out. I wanted to wrap up with this entrepreneur. Absolute entrepreneur. A businessman in his own right for the modern times. A man who is committed to a life of crime and finally figured out his master caper. He happens to look a bit like a professional athlete. He's in good shape, big guy. And he thought, I could go in and tell these people I'm a high roller professional athlete, and they'll probably just believe me and show me the good stuff. And then maybe I can swipe it, and I can turn around and make a tidy little profit. And I think it all would have worked out just perfectly fine if it wasn't for the guy's beard. It's his darn beard that got him in trouble. Well, and the fact that there was cameras and the way he tried to hide the jewelry was a bit ridiculous.
How about this story? Man tries to make off with nearly $800,000 in jewelry by swallowing it. He allegedly stole the pricey earrings from the Tiffany store at the mall at Millennia.
Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie is joining us live tonight. So, Hannah, this suspect has an extensive criminal history.
He sure does, Luann and John. He has been arrested multiple times. His criminal history for theft alone going back at least 13 years. One of the crimes out of Houston, pretty interesting. Detectives were able to pin him to the crime because a mask he used during a jewelry heist there was left behind at the scene. And inside, detectives found one single facial hair and were able to connect his DNA. Here is the X-ray. You're looking at just over 13 carats of diamonds.
So it's an image on the screen of his stomach in which gold jewelry is just sitting there chilling inside his gut. And I didn't take it. I didn't take it. Well, as he was getting busted, he realized he didn't want to give up the prize.
Inside Jathan Gilder's stomach. That's almost $800,000. Video shows the 32-year-old checking out the Tiffany & Co. jewels at the Mall of Millennia Wednesday before snatching 2 pairs of earrings and booking it. This employee was reportedly injured trying to stop him from leaving the store. OPD says he made it to a car and was headed for Texas when FHP arrested him in Washington County. That's when troopers say he swallowed the stolen goods.
So he swallows it and tries to get away. And, you know, earrings, too. So they got, like, pokey parts on them.
Not good for your digestive system.
I don't think so. And so I was looking at, like, these jewelry capers are always so crazy. Like, we often think of, like, these big movie style. But they're always much, much crazier in real life. And I thought, okay, it doesn't get any crazier than trying to steal earrings and swallow them when you're caught, right? Like think about, say you got away. And then, like, a day goes by. And you go to the bathroom, like, you got to check the results. You got to go through the results to find the goods. And you don't really know if that's the right batch because sometimes it takes a while for things to make all the way through their system. So you may have to go through multiple bathroom batches before you actually find the earring. I mean, just think about, like, the actual implementation here. So I thought, it can't get any crazier than this, right? Oh, no, it can. In fact, not too long ago, there was an even larger caper. A 60-year-old man stole a solid gold toilet.
A solid gold toilet has been stolen from the birthplace of the former British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill.
Yes,
Janie.
the $1.82 million 18-carat art installation was taken from Blenheim Palace.
Blenheim Palace is normally packed with visitors at weekends. But it was shut to the public, effectively a crime scene, while police investigated one of the strangest burglaries they've ever come across.
I love how the police have to play this straight because it's an official robbery at, like, you know, a historic place at Bellingham Place.
Oh my goodness.
And so they have to treat it like it, but they're behind the scenes, they're laughing their butts off about a golden throne getting stolen, right?
Oh, their butts, eh?
And this is what the intruders were after. An 18-carat gold toilet made by the Italian conceptual artist Maurizio Catalan. Police have confirmed that it's still missing.
There will be an increased police presence in the local area, whilst officers and staff carry out inquiries into the circumstances. There is a thorough investigation in the process of being carried out.
Visitors were still allowed access to the grounds of Blenheim, and many voiced their surprise at the theft.
I'm really shocked. I can't believe there's £1 million toilet that's been stolen, all gold. I wanted to go on it. I can't believe they managed to get into the palace as well. I thought security here would be tight locked. So, yeah, it's amazing that someone's been able to access it and be able to take it. And it's not small, is it?
That is quite shocking. I'll have to admit, I'll go back, it'll be the highlight. We were there at the crime scene. Someone stole £1 million toilet. That's an amazing story, I think.
Well, if you happen to know where the golden toilet is, boost in, and we'll relay it to the authorities. It's real. Well, that just about does it for this week's episode. Brent, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure being here.
Gonna have to keep us up to date on how the Bang Bus adventures go.
I think we'll have lots to report when things start getting rolling.
I don't know about you, Andrews, but I think it's time to go get a steak bagel sandwich.
Well, it's already past the time, but I will get a loaded breakfast sandwich from Jack in the Box. I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad you're covered. Glad you're covered. Links to what we talked about today, weeklylaunch.rocks. That's the website we have for you that you can get previous episodes, and also it posts there when we're about to go live. Yeah, live. That'll be next Tuesday. You can catch us in your podcast app and then get the download Wednesday morning if you like, or plug in jblive.tv and tune in via the web. Don't forget, we also have that live chat room that we're hanging out in all week and during the live stream. That's on our Matrix server. It is the Launch HQ, which you can find linked at Jupiter Broadcasting and our website as well. Thank you, everybody. From the beautiful Pacific Northwest and the mighty American West Coast, thanks for listening. And we'll see you right back here next week.